Feeling the energy shift? Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Join us today as we explore how it impacts our daily lives and some strategies to ameliorate the effects. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible, leveraging podcasts and the huge audience over on the Gnostic TV network. Today, we are chatting with Kelly Kingsland. Kelly is a transformative feminine energetics mentor, Reiki master and teacher, ordained metaphysical minister, and international best-selling author. With a foundation in psychology and a lifelong dedication to learning, Kelly blends her diverse skills to offer a truly unique approach to personal and professional empowerment. Welcome to the show, Kelly. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, are you ready for the big question?
I am ready.
Okay. I like to ask rather than just like throw it at people. So, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Right now, with everything that's happening in the world, I think the best impact we can have is to treat each other with kindness and to try and put as much positive energy out into the universe as we possibly can, in the hopes that others can benefit from it.
I love that. I love that. There is so much going on, and it's so easy to get dragged into the mess that's just like
Mhm.
swirling energies everywhere, and it feels so chaotic, and it's easy to be trapped in the fear cycles that certain institutions are trying to push us into, rather than just
Mhm.
looking at the world and saying, hey, we're all just people. We want to eat and have shelter and raise our families and love our loved ones and be productive. And boundaries, borders, you know, really, do we need them in this day and age?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned before, I'm in Canada, so we're very familiar with what's going on in North America. And yeah, I see everything that's going on. And as an empath, I feel it. So I just try and transmute what I can to positive and go from there.
I learned back in the COVID days that because it was easy for me in those days to get caught up in the oh my God, we're going to hell in a handbasket
Mhm.
mentality. But then I would remind myself that I'm fine. Today is good. And that's really all that matters. I can only control what's in my control, and I can appreciate the things that I have and the ability to live my life day to day. And it really made a big difference to me. It's kind of why I started the podcast, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I remember those days. That was a tough time too, because of all of the fear and everything, right? So when you're sensitive to the energies, it just seems to make it that much more difficult. So, if you're an energy worker, if you are an empath, anything like that, I encourage you to take what you're hearing, transmute the negativity into positivity, and just put it out there for everyone else. And, try to avoid the stuff that triggers you. That's what I do. Because I know for a fact if I sit down and watch the news all night, it's not going to be good for me. So I just don't do it.
Yeah, and it goes that way with social media too. We
Mhm.
have the power to control what we're being exposed to on a much greater level than I think most people realize. You don't have to put up with people's nastiness. If somebody is being nasty on your posts or on to people that it's a really you you can block them. You can unfriend them and they'll never know because they
Yeah, I've done
probably
that to a
don't.
few.
Yeah, but they probably don't even want to see your content because you're obviously triggering them as well. And I think if we just kind of try to not respond, just block and move on and catch and release, as they say.
Yeah.
It just allows the energy to kind of dissipate in a way that doesn't make them wrong or you right, because really none of us have all the facts. So nobody is always right or always wrong. And pretty much, unless you're listening to anything our governments are saying, it's probably like we don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. They tell us
No.
stuff, but it's not the truth. I'm sorry. It's just like the way it is. And so you really can't base any decisions on that, because it's just like it's just a swirling ball of lies. And it's like, how can you try to run your life that way?
Yeah. And you know what? I find, and I'm sure you find this too, the algorithms tend to be very in tune with what you're doing. So the more you are clicking on the positive posts, the more positive posts you're going to see. The more you're blocking and ignoring the negative posts, the less you're going to see. So if you're going to be doom scrolling on Facebook and, just sitting there doing screen going, engage with the positive, engage with the ones that are putting love out into the universe, putting positive energy out into the universe. And that's what you're going to receive. Ignore the negative and you won't see nearly as much of it. And I think right now that's good for everybody's mental health.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's just there's simple techniques that we just have to be conscious of what it is that we're allowing into our energy fields, because it's our energy fields are really important to transmuting the whole world into being a better place for everyone, no matter what you believe or think. Or we are all connected, we're all having an experience, and we're all part of the same experience in different viewed from different facets. It's like we are the diamond looking out from the inside, and we see it. The perspective is different for everybody. And we sometimes divide these energies up to masculine and feminine. So you want to talk about what masculine and feminine energy is, and how it's different, how we can use it.
Absolutely. So everybody has both, right? There's the feminine energy, there's the masculine energy. And feminine energy tends to come from more of a place of softness, of contribution, teamwork, support, that sort of thing. Masculine energy tends to anchor more in the independent, solitary, action-based, that sort of motion. And it's important that we're able to balance the two, because what happens is if you get anchored too far into the feminine or too far into the masculine, it becomes unhealthy. And I specifically focus on women. And what I have found is a lot of women, especially the high achieving, intelligent, right, women, tend to find themselves really digging into the masculine because we have a patriarchal society. Business is looked at from a masculine viewpoint. All of the expected protocols are of a masculine nature. And when you're a woman and you're anchored into the masculine and not recognizing your feminine, it starts to cause issues. It starts to cause, at the far end, eventually burnout. At the closer end, unbalanced energy, tiredness, headaches, weight gain, all these things, because instead of using the feminine energy that we tend to be more in tune with, we're using something that isn't for us. So we're basically trying to put a square peg into a round hole.
That makes a lot of sense. And it, when it comes to using these two, is that kind of what your coaching is all about? How does your coaching fit into all of this? I guess is the way I want to ask it.
So the mentorship is focused on high achieving women, so corporate business owners, that sort of thing. And I work with them to release the masculine that they are currently embroiled in, recognize and acknowledge the feminine, and learn how to act from that feminine energy so that when they're spending their day at work, it is more natural flowing to them. It is easier. It is not as stressful as working like their male counterparts. So I basically teach them their energetic blueprint and how to use that to succeed without doing 60-hour weeks.
I think it's as women, we tend to like look at men and think, okay, so they're doing it that way, we can do it better.
We
I
can.
do anyway. And a lot of times we can. And I think the secret is in that we are able to tap into that feminine energy in a way that a man never can. And the feminine energy to me has a lot of creativity, whereas the masculine energy is the get it done kind of energy. And if you have a really good balance between the two, the creative and the drive to actually see it through, man, Katie, bar the door.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Even for, businesses like podcasts or mentorship or what have you, you're going to use a balance. So when I'm designing graphics, that is a feminine thing because I'm being creative. I'm creating something. The act of posting it and, posting it to the different pages in the different groups and speaking about it, and that is the masculine. And then sitting back and waiting for the responses is the feminine. So we always use both. It's just a matter of making sure that we balance what we're using. And with
And this
the world right now and the energies that everybody is dealing with, the feminine is really kind of going like this because people are so anchored into fear. They're so anchored into feeling like they need to move, they need to do something, they need to say something. And that's all the masculine. Whereas putting out the positive energy, you know, nurturing other people, that is more of the feminine.
it's not just a man and woman sort of thing either. It's both sexes have both energies. And I can look at
Absolutely.
somebody like Steve Jobs, who created this amazing company and amazing product, and he got kicked out of his own company at one point. They let him back in because he sunk back into the feminine side and started being more creative again. And then they were like, yeah, we're catching your vision again and you can come back. But we all, men and women, both, if we get stuck in that masculine energy, you're just pushing against the wall all the time. You instead of taking a step back and relaxing and letting the feminine energy bubble up, because the feminine, I think, is it will take us, it will take a backseat in some personalities, I would say, more than people. Um, and just like feminine energy, if you're like leaning too far to that side, and there are some personalities that tend to be like they're airy fairy dreamy, but they never get anything accomplished because they're creating the next six things in their mind. um so really the balance is the key.
It is absolutely. And you're correct in that both sexes have both energies. We have to. And you'll see men will demonstrate their feminine when they're nurturing their children. When you see dad letting his daughter paint his nails pink because she thinks it's fun and he wants to make her happy. When they're just spending time together and bonding and that sort of thing. So there's always going to be the two, and you have to have the two. You have to. You can't just do one. I always like to joke that, as nice as it would be to just lay back and have someone feed me grapes and fan me, it's not going to happen. If you can get
On the
it,
luck.
great.
Good work if you can get it.
Exactly. So, you can't be 100% in your feminine, or that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be sitting back, you're going to be relaxing, you're going to be creating, but nothing's ever going to happen with what you create because you're not putting the masculine in to move it forward. So that's why, as women in business, like we are, when you have your own company, your own proprietorship, what have you, you really need that balance. Because if you're creating too much and not following through, you're wasting your time. And if you're too focused on the minuscule things that really don't matter, but you need to be a perfectionist, you're not going to be able to get as much done as you possibly could. So it's a matter of finding that balance. So, your feminine is going to create this wonderful idea and, think of how it needs to work and how everything's going to be. But then your masculine's going to step in and go, okay, you know what? That sounds awesome. I've got it from here for a little bit. Feminine's going to sit back, masculine's going to step in. Okay, so we need to build this, we need this technology, we need this. Okay, everything is in place. Now the feminine can come back out. And the feminine's the one that's going to be speaking to the people and talking about what it is and explaining and sharing. So you're always using both, but when you get stuck in one, it's no good.
I think if you use them intentionally also, that's part of the equation. Recognizing that, hey, I'm doing a lot and I'm feeling like could talk about burnout, but I think burnout comes from being in the masculine too long without doing it intentionally. Like I'm stepping into this energy so that I can accomplish a task rather than I'm just going to live in this energy. Do you want to talk about burnout from your perspective?
Yeah, of course. So what I actually find, um, let me backtrack. In my mentorships, I work not just with the masculine feminine, but I also teach them about their personal energy, the chakras, how they become blocked, how you can tell when they're blocked, how to clear them, where you carry trauma, all that sort of thing. And I found that a lot of women, and this surprised me because it wasn't my experience, but a lot of women don't realize that they're burning out until it's too late. And it's because we are so used as women to pushing through. I don't feel well. Well, too bad. I got too many things to do. I don't have time to not feel well. I'm really tired. Well, you know what? Have another coffee because you got stuff you got to do. We tend to do that to ourselves. And we push everything that's happening to the back. So when you're not sleeping properly, when all of a sudden you're getting migraines every day, when you're putting weight on, especially around your middle, when you're all of a sudden you have gastro issues, heart palpitations, all these things start happening, your body's talking to you. It's saying, hey, hello, like I need some attention, but we ignore it. So my goal is to get to these women before they get to that point. And myself, I know when I was getting close to burning out, because I was familiar with my energy, I knew when it was off. I could recognize and realize that, okay, you know what? This isn't good. this needs to change. I need to take a step back and I need to really look at this and how I can fix it. So I would really like to be able to help women do that, as opposed to stepping in once it's too late and they're already at the burnout stage.
Wise move to get ahead of the curve. So I know you offer a feminine CEO blueprint. Do you want to talk about that and the hypnosis that you offer?
Yeah, so it's actually an opt-in. It's a free opt-in on the website. The ebook is called the Feminine CEO Blueprint, and it goes into the differences between masculine and feminine energy, how you can recognize each, how to incorporate more feminine into your daily life, and how to catch yourself when you're spending too much time in the masculine. It also includes a CEO Flow weekly planner, which is, again, electronic version. And it has different tasks that you can do every day that will measure where you are. It shows you how to balance. Okay, these are 3 tasks in the feminine I'm doing today. These are 3 tasks in the masculine I'm doing today. And it has journal pages and that, so you can keep track of what you're doing and what you're seeing. And then because I'm a hypnotherapist as well, I actually designed a hypnosis that is specifically for these women. It's only 13 minutes long, so everybody has time for it. And it's for stress reduction, and that's part of the gift as well.
I love that. So when you're doing your coaching itself, is it in groups? Is it one-on-one, or is it a combination?
I have 2 different programs. I do offer one-on-one mentorships, which are much more in depth, much more hands-on. That's for people who are really focused on wanting to up level where they are. They want to get that promotion, they want to get that raise, but they want to be able to do it without killing themselves with work. I also offer group programs, which incorporate pretty much everything that's in the beginning of the mentorship, but less one-on-one. So, and yeah, I find people will start in the 12-week program and then continue in the mentorship because they want to remain accountable and they want to keep that level of recognition going and have the extra support when they need it.
I, I love the way that you've organized it so that you can start in a group and feel safe.
Mhm.
Then you can venture out on your own if you take the training wheels off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excuse me, so to speak. So how do people get in touch with you, and how do they get the Feminine CEO Blueprint from you?
So I am on all social media. I'm on Facebook, Kelly Macaulay Kingsland. I am on Instagram, it's at Kelly Radiant Femme. My website is radiantfemme.ca, and femme is FEMME in the title. And then the opt-in for the CEO Blueprint, CEO Planner, and Stress Hypnosis is at radiantfemme.ca/sustainable-success.
And we'll be sure and put those links in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kelly. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
To learn more about Kelly Kingsland and to get access to her book, Embracing to get the Feminine CEO Blueprint and CEO Flow Weekly Planner and Stress Reduction Hypnosis, be sure to visit radiantfemme.ca, Sustainable Success. And then thank you for joining or tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on our Gnostic TV network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today.